Mhm.
Hi everyone, welcome to Cook Vegan. You can tell it's been the end of a very long week. I'm like here, my voice is going a bit husky, I'm tired, but I am here with someone who's going to give me lots of energy and you all energy and tell us how we can incorporate herbs into our diet, into our way of life, and how to eat well basically, and so much more. So I'm here joined all the way from the UK by Caroline Evans, who is the brain behind, now I'll say this right, it's heavenly, it's like a lot of
Herbals.
Heaven on Earth Herbals. There it is. And for those of you watching in Cyprus who might be in the Paphos area, might go on holidays to Lachi, or might be anywhere and have gone on holidays, you might know Caroline as very much a local who was based here for many, many years and had the herb garden just outside of Lachi and Polis here in Cyprus. So I'm going to pass you over to Caroline just to introduce herself a bit, say what she does. She's a herbalist, a naturopath, there's so much more. So what she does, why she does it, and where we can find her.
Hi, thank you for having me, Farah. Really, really great to be here. And it's almost like being in Cyprus by being here, because this is my favorite time of year for Cyprus. You've had the first rains. It's like, the heat is off. It's lush. It's lush.
It's so true. And it really bucketed it down today. You wouldn't believe it, but it was nice.
I love it. And the thunderstorms. I love it. I miss you all. I've got some really, really great friends in Cyprus. Really, yeah, it's in my heart always. So, and it taught me about herbal medicine. I mean, really, I'm a herbalist. As you introduced me as, yes, I'm a naturopath. I'm also a nutrition consultant. So, what do? I work with patients on how they can help themselves to get better using all of those things. Why do I do it? Well, I really do have a passion for teaching people about nature, and by not just the nature that's in the hedgerows and out, like on the Camas Hills, like where I live, and how they can forage, but also about their internal nature, how things work and how to tune in to know, to basically become your own best doctor, because I really believe that is the future, is to know, how we can heal ourselves. We don't need to rely on anybody else, but we need to rely on ourselves with the right tools and the right knowledge from guides like myself and, like yourself, who with healthy food. It's like, this is essential and real gold dust knowledge. So that's why I do what I do.
Amazing. And you do, okay, so you're based in the UK now. You were in Cyprus for many, many years, and then you relocated back to the UK. But most importantly for you guys watching this, Caroline is available online. My goodness, what a great era we're living in, that everything is available just at the touch of a button and with a screen. So we are so connected in 2020 and beyond. So people can find you. The link is here, everyone. If you're watching on YouTube, it's also there. And if, of course, on Facebook, we've got the link here. So you can get in touch with Caroline directly, either over Facebook or on her website or her YouTube channel. And you do consultations online. People can email you as well. Okay, amazing. And you're based in the UK, so if someone is close to you, where exactly are you?
I'm in good old-fashioned Somerset right now. Good old Somerset. So I'm in a little village here, or a town it is, Frome in Somerset. So on the Wiltshire-Somerset border. And yeah, lovely. I do see patients face-to-face, and mostly nowadays I'm doing Zoom and Skype consultations. That is, like you said, this is the world. This is what we're living in. So it means that I have been able to keep up with my Cypriot patients from those moons ago, and Russian patients, and people from across Europe. So nothing stops you traveling from your front room these days, or from your apothecary. So yeah,
it's really just amazing. It's great. And there's so much, positivity we can take from that. So it's really, really good. So tell us a little bit about your passion and about herbs. Because, okay, everybody knows herbs. We all know what they are. We know that we can go outside and appreciate them in nature. We know that they're pretty and that they're good for us, and we can, put them, sprinkle them over our food to give it a little bit of aroma and a little bit of texture. But we don't all know about the benefits of them and really just how good they are. Really, like, as one of my golden rules is to eat herbs every day, whether it's dried or fresh in one form or another. I have to have herbs every day on our food, and my kids have to have them, and we have to incorporate them into our food. So what are the best ways to basically be healthier by eating herbs? What's the best way to ingest them, and what are the best herbs that we should eat? I mean, if there's only a a few that you'd recommend, or something that we should have on a daily basis, what would you say are the best? Sorry, I've fired about 20 questions at you there, but just so that you can, I'll try not to interrupt you now.
Okay, hopefully I'll be a quicker query and I'll be able to answer them all. But yeah, no, I mean, really, I think my greatest teaching came actually from Akamas and from working with the herbs, like literally growing them from seed and seeing, you know, how they grow. And I used to do biodynamic growing from there. So I have a great example of planting chamomile seeds on a descending moon cycle, and the flowers would come up on an ascending moon cycle. So it just shows how the synchronicity of how nature and the moon, everything all works together. And
wow. I'm like blown away with.
Yeah, it's amazing. That is magic. But this stuff is all going on behind the scenes. It's just we're most of the time unaware. But it is all going on. There is a symbiosis with nature, a symbiotic relationship. I mean, mushrooms, the mycelium, they have their, they're kind of like communication channels. If you've ever watched Avatar, the communication channels are going under the earth, and you know, one tree in one side of the forest can communicate with another tree on the other side of the forest. I mean, it's all happening unbeknownst to us. So working in the herb garden made me realize this synchronicity and this symbiotic relationship of nature, and how humans, we're very far removed from this, but I think the way future forward is to go back to it. And you're right, to incorporate herbs every day. I mean, one thing I noticed, and I did learn a lot from the villagers in Cyprus, because they really do know their stuff. They spend a lot of time in nature. You know, to make shujuko takes how long? You know, it takes like, you know, 14 days or 10 days. You know, it's really every day. They're, you know, it's these things that they do are really working with the seasons, like, you know, it's just been olive season, you know, before that was grape season, and working with the cycles of life is very, very important. But yeah, to ingest herbs, what they do when you ingest them in the body, and this is where the symbiosis comes out, is you find that oftentimes, and most herbs, and especially the flavonoids that grow in Cyprus, like your big oreganos, your big thymes, your big oreganes, your big rosemaries, all of these, they all help your body to digest certain foods. And this is quite an amazing fact. I mean, there's no accident, like with certain foods, they always recommend that you eat, like, okay, say with lentils and pulses, it's very good to put a sprig of rosemary in when you're soaking them, or even what's the one that fennel, and the other one dill, which is very used a lot in Cyprus. You put dill with it, and all that helps. That helps to get rid of and deal with the phytic acid, which can cause a lot of problems in people if they don't have such remedies like that. So yeah, nature has it all. I mean, the best remedies I would say to have in your kitchen cupboard, and bear in mind that herbalists, we love to call anything that heals a herb. So we take over the category of food completely, because, you know, if it's food that heals and it's healthy food, then we might as well call it a herb. This is the joys of being a herbalist. But the ones that one should ingest on a daily basis, I mean, ideally would be, ideally you're going to be eating what is around you, you know, you're going to be eating local, etc. Right? Okay, so you know, like I sometimes hear I eat my avocados and I feel slightly guilty that, you know, I know my avocados are not grown in Somerset, but, you know, whereas the apples are. But it is very important, if we can, to eat locally, you know, within reason. But I have such an addiction for avocados, forget it, it's not going to happen. But ones that, you know, like for example in Cyprus and all over the world, ones that you should definitely be eating on a daily basis, make sure that they're in your food. Thyme, timari or thrombi is fantastic. I mean, really, thyme is so good for our immune system, and really we need that this time of year. It's also very good at breaking down fats, okay, as is rosemary. Rosemary is very good for mental alertness, okay, as well. So it's very good, like, you know, if someone has like a cup of tea or just a hot water sprinkle of rosemary in it and drink that, it really has a very nice flushing effect. You can even use it as a hair rinse with brown hair, you know, it's really good, just, and that way it still has an effect on you. So rosemary, thyme, basil would be amazing depending on the season, but basil is one of those ones that is really, really, really good. Basil is it's that kind of aniseedy taste. It's particularly good for the gallbladder. Okay, now the gallbladder is the one that helps to release the bile, it helps to break down fats and what have you. So, but it's more specific than say rosemary or thyme. So basil is another goodie. Other ones, oregano, you can't go wrong. I mean, what with all viruses around, oregano is your number one. I remember dear old Yanni, who's 101, he just passed this year. He used to call the old-fashioned oregano is what we call sapsisha in Cyprus. And here we'd call it marjoram, okay, which is the oldest oregano. So they used to call it sapsisha. And old Yanni would tell me that he would get the bunches of oregano or sapsisha, and he'd rub it on his skin because it was too far to go from Banu Aquadalia to walk down to Milu to the river. And it blooming it was, by the time you get up, you're sweating hot again, and you have to go down for another shower. So he would use that as his natural shower rather than washing every day. And my God, I mean, he lived 101 and he was very, very healthy. So every time I would have my oregano harvest, I would call in Yanni and he'd be there with my side helping me.
Oh, how sweet.
But oregano is something amazing, just easily cut it, dry it in your house and use it in your food. Other ones, ginger. Ginger is awesome, especially for the digestive system. Ginger is number one, as is garlic. You cannot go wrong with garlic. In fact, I mean, I married a Frenchman, but really garlic should be in absolutely everything. Garlic is a fantastic herb. So yeah, they're my main ones. I mean, any of the allium family, like garlic and even onions, they're really, really, really beneficial. And another one, I know I'm going over my quota of a few herbs, but
hit us with more. Hit us with more. We want more.
Is lemon. Lemon. I mean, you don't think of it as a herb; it's a fruit, but it is so beneficial for our health. But it is a herb. It's incredibly alkalizing, and diseases in the body, and of course stress, which causes diseases in the body, you create acid conditions in the body. So we want to alkalize. And that's what we use lemon for. So lemon
I love lemon. Lemon on food and also just lemon and water. And every morning, that's how I start my day. Bit of warm water with half a lemon in. It's great.
Brilliant.
So good. That actually, I did have another question, but you have kind of answered it a bit. So what are the best herbs? Now, you've said lemon already. We want another one. To drink. To
drink. Best herbs to drink. God, there could be anything. I mean, okay, yeah, lemon is the number one. Okay, absolutely the number one. Another one, okay, it is originally, okay, it's coming from, it's not so much a herb, it's more nutrition now, but apple cider vinegar. That's another best one to drink. So lemon would be first, apple cider vinegar would be absolutely second. Like I said, rosemary would be really good.
And apple cider vinegar, would you have it in a little shot or would you put it in some water?
Generally, I get my patients to have a teaspoon and a little bit of water. In fact, they can mix it with their hot water and lemon. And that would be amazing. And if you're feeling really good, and this is another herb comes in, a sprinkle of cayenne pepper. A cayenne pepper is amazing. In Cyprus, I was on a real crusade to get people to have cayenne pepper, but it's not usual to have cayenne pepper in the Cypriot diet at all. Yeah. But you can save a lot of cardiovascular issues with having cayenne pepper on a daily basis. It's incredibly good for the stomach, which we don't think that it is, because we think, oh, it's hot, it's going to cause the spasms in my stomach. It's not at all. It's really soothing on the stomach. It helps absorption. It's fantastic for circulation, prevents stroke. So hot water, lemon, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and a sprinkle of cayenne pepper every morning, and off you go. You are set for the day.
Amazing. And oh my goodness, I have so many things I want to ask you. So you have covered a lot already, because I was going to ask, obviously it's 2020, we are in, I don't know, are we in a peak? We are, I mean, there's been so many peaks this year of this pandemic, but it is what it is. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, at least, but okay, it's been a crazy year, and a lot of people are very concerned with their immunity. We are anyway we're winter now. It's the cold season. There's influenza everywhere, regardless of COVID-19. So, what are the best things people can do, in your opinion, and obviously with herbs in mind, to boost their immunity, to make sure they stay on top of the game and they're not running risk of getting a cold or anything worse?
Absolutely. Yeah, really, really pertinent this time of year. I mean, anyway, pre-COVID, post-COVID, this is always this time of year we really do need to nourish and look after our immune systems. It is the natural cycle of life. We go from autumn to winter, and the body has a natural detoxification. It needs to. And then again, the same thing happens from winter to spring. So people do get sick in these times of year anyway, regardless of COVID. So just COVID is like an added to the mix. But yeah, on a supplement level, okay, and we'll go with the herbs, but actually on a supplement level, everybody really should be supplementing with zinc. Absolutely, zinc is a number one, 45, 50 milligrams a day. It's a given. The other one is vitamin D. You got it in Cyprus, so you're covered with the sunshine for now. But I know in Cyprus, January, February, I mean, I have my birthday in February. It's always like, oh no, because it does, we really need that extra. So in Cyprus, definitely I would be supplementing with vitamin D there. Also, nature is giving you, I mean, look around, nature is giving you, especially when it gets colder, it's giving you the oranges on the tree. It's full in the winter time in Cyprus. It really is. So, using that vitamin C, I mean, literally 2000 milligrams basic a day would be fine. In the height, the peak of the COVID season here on the first lockdown, I was having 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. Yeah, and so that was like, you know, I took it in acerola cherry powder form. I have some of that, and I was just taking that spoons of it because, you know, I have a baby. We're naturally worn out mothers of babies, like, you know, anyway. So more susceptible to these wonderful lurgies when you have little beings around. So
for those of you who aren't already following Caroline, she's also like me, the mama of 3 lovely young children. They're around the same age as mine as well, a bit younger. So yeah, we're tired mamas, to say the least.
We need all the help we can get.
Definitely.
As far as herbs go, okay, in Cyprus, you're calling me from Cyprus. Now, one of my favorite
I'm calling you from Cyprus. A lot of people are watching from Cyprus, but there are many people watching from the UK,
that's fine.
America,
all right,
mainland Europe.
Yeah, the world with our herbs, then we'll go around the world with our herbs.
Exactly.
So one of them is definitely, and this is an absolute #1 immune enhancer, and that is olive leaf. The leaf.
Olive leaf.
Olive leaf, yeah. And I did my dissertation on olive leaf when I was training as a herbalist, inspired by the 1,000-year-old olive tree of Panoarquadelia. Taught me a great deal. Now
I would not even ever have thought of an olive leaf as something. Oh, that is, I can't believe I'm surrounded by olive trees here, and I wouldn't even have thought of an olive leaf.
You're sitting on a gold mine. It's amazing. Yeah, olive leaves are unbelievably fantastic. In fact, when I was doing my dissertation, there's a lot of research for its use with even HIV, and a lot of stuff of this research coming out back when I did my dissertation.
And so how do you incorporate that into your diet or your drink? What do you do?
As a chai, you can of course get a supplement this time and take a pill, but I would always get patients to have a tea, because I find it's really good for flushing the system. You can get it worldwide now. I mean, God, there are olive trees growing everywhere. Ironically, I have 2 separate olive trees.
I love this. So now I can finish from here, go outside. Sorry guys, if you're not living in Cyprus and you don't have an olive tree in your garden, but for those of us here, cut a few leaves off. How many, like 5?
No, just cut a branch, one of the little arms of the tree. Apologize profusely, but just cut a thing, hang it in a dark corner in your house that's not going to get any you know, not in the kitchen. Basically, you don't want it to get wet. Hang it, and probably in the winter time in Cyprus, you're looking for anything from 2 to 4 weeks it's going to take to dry, and when it's crispy and it breaks, then you can have it as your chai. Now, really, you probably want to have it
not fresh. You don't have it fresh. You have it dry.
No, fresh it doesn't work, and that's because the olive leaf has like a protective layer on it, which is it keeps bugs away. So a healthy olive tree should never get bugs. We don't need to spray olive trees ever, because they are naturally made that way if you give them enough space. The only thing is that with modern farming methods, we put them, you know, built too many olive trees too close to each other, and therefore they're going to get bugs. But they naturally should not get any bugs because of if they're let to grow in nature, which is quite interesting.
All I'm doing is nodding. I'm like, oh, I'm learning so much here. Okay, amazing. All right, I'm going out there to get
your olive leaf, dry it. That would be number 1. Oregano. I mean, we are really spoiled. Oregano is number 1. And the reason why olive leaf,
and again, to drink it from dried or from fresh?
Dry with oregano. Oregano and olive leaf dried. Some are better fresh, like basil is always better fresh. Mint is always better fresh, but most of the others are better dried. And that's just the chemistry changes. It keeps it, you know. So of course, if you're not drying in the sun, I mean, I remember in Cyprus there were many people who would dry the oregano in the top of the roof in the house. I'm like, well, you just killed the oregano. It needs to be dried inside in the shade, and it should retain that grey green color.
Oh, okay, interesting.
That's another one. So of course, you need to really boost with your vitamin C's, like I said. So you're looking at your lemons, your oranges. There is a way I've been doing recently where you just peel use the peel and you put it in a dehydrator, and you can make your own vitamin C powder. I mean, it's really quite simple. I'll put a little video up of that at some point, but really it's just
please do on the group under here. Just put it as a comment and everyone will love it. Yeah,
of course. Awesome. Onion, garlic. You can go to town with onion and garlic. I mean, it really is. It's amazing. When my kids get sick, I slice up onion and put them in a jar. I put a big spoon of honey over it, then I slice some more and another spoon of honey, and I leave that, and it has an amazing effect because the honey actually melts, so it becomes like liquid, and they get a spoon of it a day. And you'd be surprised, you think, oh, there's no way my kids are going to have onion honey, but you taste it. It's unbelievable.
We're not, maybe for the vegans watching, you can do agave.
Of course, apologies. Yes, of course. Agave, or even better, what would you use instead of honey? Because agave is a good one. I mean, yeah, okay, coconut too.
Maple syrup?
Maple would be the best. Thank you. That's the one. You can do it with honey or maple. Yeah, agave, I'm not quite sure how that would work because it's a different consistency. But definitely would work with maple syrup. Oh God, yeah, my kids.
Interesting. And okay. And what about for those people? Because unfortunately now, end of the year, for all those people watching who have had COVID-19 and have had coronavirus, what is one of the best things? Because the effects do last a long time. I mean, people are coughing for a while. They take a long time to get their sense of taste and smell back. And to build their immunity, a lot of them have been on antibiotics, whether it was for COVID-19 or something for other flus or things. So how would someone who's already been through a sickness such as COVID-19 boost their immunity and kind of help their body to get back into full recovery?
Definitely, really, really good question, because there is a lot of this long COVID. I'm seeing a lot of this in clinic, and I think it's also compounded with, people that have had the virus, but it's compounded with the amount of stress that this whole time has caused for so many people. So they're getting like, not just adrenal fatigue, like real chronic fatigue symptoms, which is as a result of not necessarily just the virus, it's the virus coupled, which has weakened the immune system. Plus you've got the added bit of stress on top. So the people are incredibly depleted. There are a lot of building up herbs. Again, you would keep the same protocol, like with your zinc, your vitamin D, and your vitamin C, D, and C. Definitely, you need those three. Iodine is something that would be very beneficial. You can get that in seaweed. I mean, seaweed is just awesome. It's such an amazing, it's amazing that everything in nature is good for us, from the sea, from the mountains and everything in between. And we're made up of all of that stuff anyway. So, but yeah, seaweeds would be incredibly good as a build-up. I use a lot of licorice in clinic. I used to grow it in Panama, Delhi. It might still be there if anybody's up for it. But yeah, really, licorice is amazing. A trek all the way up there. But yeah, licorice is amazing. I get my kids to suck on the licorice sticks, which is really, really beneficial, especially for those that have had like chest infections, specifically because there's many different, there's two major types of long COVID, one more the cardiovascular, one more the lung one. Thyme, you can absolutely go to town with thyme. It is the number one when it comes to helping.
And thyme is such a great herb to put in cooking. Oh my goodness, it's so good.
Exactly. It's such an interesting taste as well. We don't think, and of course, Cyprus, you've got the wild thyme in every other country. You've got wild thyme and you've got cultivated.
And again, is thyme something better to have dried or fresh, or a bit of both?
No, it's a bit of both actually. Yeah, bit of both. I've always used wild thyme dried, and I use fresh thyme local thyme cultivated.
Yeah.
Thank you. Not local to me, as in my garden. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, a bit of both. It doesn't matter. I think actually thyme is one of those ones you can use both. Yeah, it makes no odds. But yeah, that would be. Yeah, and there's a lot of other things as well. I mean, really, like a vegan diet would be awesome, and I would actually get people not on a cold diet. Would be like a warm soups and broths and this type of thing. Like really would be really good. Think of nourishing foods to build people up when they've had this prolonged illness, and you've got to work on building up the adrenals as well. So that has an element of, it sounds funny, but the adrenals need sweetness, which is why licorice is really good for the adrenals. Adrenals need sweetness. Your maple syrups, your honey for non-vegans. It's all of that is going to actually help. We don't want people to sit there with a pot of a maple syrup, like down it, like my kids often run off and do. It's like, whoopsie, buckwheat pancakes again. Where's the maple syrup gone? But there's a lot of things, and of course, if they need long-term help, give me a shout, because it's quite specific, but there are a lot that you can do to build yourself.
Amazing. And okay, so how would you, we've spoken a lot about what herbs we should use, how we should use them. What's one of the best ways to use them in cooking, or rather, you being a herbalist, how do you like to use them in cooking? So is that like, what's one of your favorite dishes, for example, and how would you make that? Would you use a tincture? Would you use a fresh herb? Would you use a dry herb? And what's the best way that we can use it?
Okay, well, definitely almost all herbs in cooking, bar one, I will use both dried and a tincture form, but the rest I will always use in dried form. Generally dried or fresh. Okay, so definitely with cooking, because you can grab it from your garden and within 20 minutes it's in the dish, so you're really getting the nutrients straight away. There's no like having to travel to the other end of the country or overseas, so it's really it's fine. And that really, really works. So that would be how I would do. And like another example is like garlic, for example. I mean, that is dried, but effectively it's fresh when you cut it open, isn't it? But that's, oh my God, I use that in absolutely everything. Garlic is the herb of our time. It really is. Garlic. And another one as well is turmeric, which is something we can't forget about. That's another drink.
That's one I have every day without fail.
Awesome. Have that with your lemon. I mean, have that with lemon, turmeric slices. It's a magic stuff. It's absolutely. To be honest,
I find turmeric so easy to have. It's just really easy just to put a quarter of a teaspoon on anything I'm eating, not only once a day, but you know, lunchtime, whatever I've got my salad, I've got my rice, I've got my vegetables, and I just put a tiny bit, and then instead of having it as a capsule, duck in, and I'm done.
Much better, because then your digestive system doesn't need to handle the capsule. It's oftentimes better to do that. And, you know, I'll get patients to undo their capsules and have like a golden milk, you know, where you do with the nut milk. And that's so beneficial. I have that every day with an Indian herb called ashwagandha, which is really good for adrenals, which is one that would be for long COVID or people who are under prolonged periods of stress and, you know, being mothered. Little children is like that, you know, just to keep us above board. And have it with cinnamon or canela and bit of ginger and a bit of turmeric. But I also have fresh turmeric, and I cut it up and I put it with my hot water and lemon. Delicious.
I've just started getting fresh turmeric, because I mean, we couldn't really find it in Cyprus before, but now we do. And it's quite an interesting, it's just very different when you're used to the dried powder. But good idea to have it in with the ginger and
Yep, very different. But do have it. And if you're game enough, like, eat it, because it's you just eat it like that. I put it in hot water, and after, like, you know, I've finished my cup of tea, I'll eat it. It's really, you know, don't worry about the orange has. The fingers are going to go orange, but not the teeth. So don't worry.
It's true, your fingers get so orange. You're so right.
But they're gone by the end of the day, generally. I mean, if I think about, you know, my Cypriot neighbours, and bless, I think of dear old Daphne right now. I mean, you know, they get their I remember from the gliki that they would get from the black walnut, and their fingers would go black. They'd always keep the green hulls for me, because I'd use them for tinctures, but always like with that, and always the black, and I'd sit there with them, these black fingernails. So turmeric is no big deal on you know, especially in Cyprus.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to ask one final question, and everyone watching this, whether you're watching on the Facebook Cook Vegan group or YouTube, don't forget you can type in any questions below, and we'll make sure Caroline sees them, and we'll get back to you. But my final question is, I know on your beautiful site, and I'm so impressed with your YouTube channel that you haven't had for that long, and over 1,100 subscribers already, you mentioned about emotional and mental health, and how herbs can help that. And that's something that we haven't really touched on here at Cook Vegan, and it is so important. And especially, oh my goodness, if there was ever a year for it, 2020 is the year. So really to ask, you know, for those people who are watching, you know, either for themselves or they've known people who are struggling, and there's nothing wrong with that, everyone. We've all struggled this year. Everyone has struggled. No one's businesses have done as well. Everyone's had a change in their routine, and we've all just been a bit off balance. So how can what you do help people like that? How can people eat or take a herb that can maybe help them? And finally, within this question, so I'm sneaking in a bonus question, how do you personally manage to stay sane with lockdown, with your work, with everything, with 3 children? So give everyone who's watching a final tip that's straight from your heart.
Yeah, no problem, Han. Yeah, this has been a really what a year, unbelievable. I have seen so much anxiety in my clinic. Like, really, I think one of the major things, other than long COVID, and one of the symptoms of anyway, but I have been seeing so much anxiety and loneliness and depression. It is intense. We can't forget it's here. And it really is intense. But this is where herbs really do come into their own. They are absolutely unbelievable, because, you know, something like an antidepressant is just going to dumb things down. It's not getting to the root cause. And that's where we really need to get the root cause. Of course, the world is in chaos, but there's a lot we can do, like that chaos, the way that has an effect on your hormonal cycle. And then that affects your circadian rhythms and affects your sleep. So it has a knock-on effect. So my job is to get someone out of the anxiety depression cycle, okay? And we can go in there with herbs, and then we can start to get people to have a really decent night's sleep, because that really is key. If you get a decent night's sleep, and that is dependent on what you're doing in the day, what you're eating, it is all dependent on how you have a sleep, because a lot of people don't really associate what they eat as to how they feel, but it really does make a difference. I mean, Hippocrates says you are what you eat. I mean, that is it. You are what you eat. Totally. You are what you eat, what you think, what you feel, what you do. It's all absolutely related. And health is holistic. So, I mean, from a herbal point of view, I do a lot of work with clearing up people's diets, definitely. Detoxification, oftentimes we put them on juice fasting where necessary, just to kickstart the system sometimes. And yeah, just nourishing foods. Like I was saying, with people with long COVID, they need that nourishing, that warm, that really like nourishing to the kind of soups and things to really help them, because we're often finding that when someone's in a state of anxiety, they're not able to absorb the nutrients. So that's where herbs can help, like I said, okay, apple cider vinegar, with your garlics, all of this stuff is going to help to build up your immunity. And I know with me, I've had to do the same thing. Like I had acid reflux in the middle of the first lockdown. Okay, I had not long given birth, but still, and my body's all going back to the way it was. But it was quite amazing, because that's the first time it just showed that, like, how even without me knowing it, with my work, and I went back to work much earlier than I expected. I was on maternity leave. First time I had proper maternity leave in 3 babies. I thought, I'm going to do it this time, definitely. 3rd baby, milk my husband, definitely in that way, make the most of the support system of him. But but I went back to work quite early because COVID did hit, and then it was like coming out. So I find that would have an effect on me. So I had to deal with my own anxiety and my own stress, and my own waking up in the middle of the night and working on my own circadian rhythm, which is why I put myself on ashwagandha. Definitely. And I have like my kind of like golden latte every evening before I go to bed, and I have it with coconut almond milk, and I love that. And I just like heat that up, and I put a big spoon of ashwagandha, and that really keeps me sane.
Do you put turmeric in it as well? So what do you put in it?
Turmeric, I don't find turmeric is uplifting. It can be for some people. For me, it's not. I put a spoon of turmeric in, but probably because breastfeeding mother, not no amount of uplifting you can do is going to stop me sleeping when I get a chance. You know what
Honestly.
I mean? But people can take it in the
Tell
morning.
me about it.
Exactly. But I put it in my smoothies in the morning too. So I'm actually having it tail end of the day and the night. It's like I find that is the herb of our time right now, is ashwagandha, and I give that to a lot of my patients. It really is. And now I recently made up a formula that's specifically for anxiety and stress and depression, because I have so many people like this in clinic, because this is just what's been going on in the world, and nobody has escaped it. And I think that people need to know that they're not alone, that this is really, really normal for them to feel like this. Things are in case of very normal for them to feel like this. I found that the greatest healer for me was getting out in nature. I noticed people around me when we had the first lockdown, is that they would have that 1 hour a day and they would go outside. I mean, what amount of healing that does. And I think that is the greatest one. I mean, even take your shoes off, put your feet on the sand, put them on the grass, whatever you have, even put them on the stone. It doesn't matter. I remember the old cypress stone of my courtyard in Cyprus, how good that used to feel under my feet. So it's just to do this, to just come down, just to connect, because it's all of this stress is affecting here, and this is making us a bit like a headless chicken. So things that are going to bring us back into our bodies are things like root vegetables. Nourishing root vegetables are really essential this time of year anyway, and like nourishing rooty herbs, like I said, licorices and the ashwagandhas are really, really good. And be really kind to yourself. Write to yourself, write letters to yourself of kindness. Just really do. I mean, it's very important to take the pressure off yourself, give yourself a bath, stop with the doing, and start to just say, actually, you know what, I just need to give myself credit for getting through this far. Really give myself credit. And a lot of emotional work with patients on just giving themselves time, accepting. Another great couple of herbs that help is cacao. Okay, so all these cacao ceremonies, they got it right.
Love it.
Yeah, really, like hot chocolate, bring it on. But the real good stuff, the real.
I've got a video coming out on vegan hot chocolate, everyone. Really good. And another one, you're mentioning all these things. I've got an immune boosting soup. Caroline, you'll love it. Awesome. You've got to check it out. I'll send you the link after.
Brilliant. Exactly. This is what we need. Totally, this is what we need. And another thing you can add into your hot chocolate is you can add triandafilo nero. So you can add some rose water in there.
Rose water.
I put in rose tincture. I get my patients who are supposed to have rose tincture and cacao, and it is incredibly useful. Just like we need that euphoric feeling. Exercise, even if it's 10 minutes a day. I mean, I jump up and down with my kids, and it's like maybe I can't do any more than that in a day, but it's essential. Every little bit. People say, I can't go for a run, I don't have the time. That's fine. 10 minutes, just whatever you can, little increments. and just to be kind to yourself, because the world is in chaos, you know, and it will settle. The light is coming. What the solstice is coming, and that's really apparently.
We're all in the same boat. Everybody has to remember that you're not alone in this, and it's not your fault, and you can't control it. And there's no point worrying about tomorrow or the next week or the next month. We just have to live the present, enjoy the day. And as you said, I love that you mentioned going out, even when we had that 1 hour a day to go on a walk. I do think that is something that we'll carry forward from 2020 and remember as one of the positives we took from this, because before everyone was so busy running to the office, driving, getting on a train, that they actually nobody was walking. You know, okay, when you live in London or big cities, yes, you walked around, but not really walking in nature, not really appreciating that walk for a walk. And you know, I've noticed here people are saying hello to each other. They're just so happy to bump into someone. They're saying hello from under their masks. And it is, you know, there are so many positives that we have to remember from this chaos that was the 2020 year.
You're right. Be in the present. You're spot on. Be in the present, and that's what it's all about. You know, people stop having the plans, which is a great idea. Have an idea, but focus on, okay, what can I do in this moment? Because this, how can I feel good in this moment? You know, and that is what I think this is made us realize, that we spend so much time doing. We just need to be here. We're human beings. We've always been. That didn't change. It's just we forgot. So it is a really great. That's the reset. That's like, we are here. You know, reset ourselves. This is my priority, is like what makes me happy. It's got to be, so, and make it happen.
Caroline, thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you for everything, for giving us your time, your insight, your positivity, and most importantly, your amazing tips on how to be healthy using herbs, using nature, and so much more. Everyone, don't forget, you can follow Caroline Evans on social media. Say it again, Caroline. I always get the wrong way.
Herbals.
Heaven on Earth Herbals. In my head, it's Heavenly Herbals. Heaven on Earth Herbals. As we said, YouTube, Facebook, and so much more. And she will see you online. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to Cook Vegan and put your notifications button on so you can see so many more interviews like this, plus lots of useful cooking recipes, which, Caroline, I'm happy to say, I always put herbs in everything, even if it's a bit of turmeric or cinnamon or whatever else. Flax seeds, we didn't mention seeds as well.
We could talk about that too. Wow, yeah,
exactly. Oh my goodness, another time. We'll just do a cook along. All right, everyone, take care. Have a lovely weekend ahead. Lovely week ahead if you're watching this on a different day of the week. And thanks again, Caroline. It's been great.
Bye-bye.
Bye from us.